Well. Guess who's back at it? I know we've had a fun show, fun couple weeks, but this week in wrestling, we got a lot to get to. First and foremost, before we get into anything this week, I am Ben Goosen. This is Sage the Mark, Real Wrestling Podcast. We are here with you live. We're recording this live, but first and foremost, before we get into anything, I need to say this. Now, this isn't a political podcast, religious podcast. This isn't a controversial podcast by any means. We talk about wrestling. We talk about IT security, network security. We talk about trending topics. We talk about fun stuff, mainly wrestling. So we come to you here and we record this tonight. There's been a lot of negativity in the world. Do you support the president? Do you not support the president? I'm not talking about your rights, your amendment. I'm not talking about any of that. I'm talking about the hate. We got to delete the hate. We got to delete the hate that's out there with all this stuff going on in Charlottesville and the bad mouthing of this, the bad mouthing of that. This guy did this guy did that. We got to delete it all and just remember there's peace, love, unity, and respect out there as we get into this week's episode of the IRWP, the Super SummerSlam-tastic episode. We got reviews. We got predictions coming your way. I've got literally just off this week in wrestling alone, I've got three pages of notes on stuff I need to get to, but I can't get to it until I do one thing first. Till I introduce my Sage Mark. What up, son?
What's up? Your boy is back. I feel like an eternity, but I'm back. I got the sword of Halo coming down from the clouds of Valhalla. We going down. SummerSlam weekend. Let's go.
Hey, what does that mean? I've got the what?
The sword of Halo from the heavens of Valhalla.
Well, what is that, like a game? So for those of y'all listening, I don't watch Game of Thrones. I thought it was Dungeons and Dragons type stuff, so I was like, yeah, I don't know anything about that, so I'm not going to watch it. Is what you're referring to Game of Thrones talk? Am I missing out on something?
It is not Game of Thrones talk. The pagans back in the 14th or 15th century refer to their afterlife as Valhalla from the mountains of Valhalla. So, they'll throw back.
Huh. Well, we got a lot to get into today. I'm very excited about today's show. We got a lot to get into. As you could see in the title, we have some SummerSlam-tastic issues that we've got to roll out. But I got to say, there's something I got to talk to you about. We've briefly, but I have to say, we touched on the things that go on outside of the ring. And we talked about not long ago that sheets report this, the dirt sheets report that, and we don't buy into them too much. It's whatever. Some of the stuff's just pointlessly obvious that they say. So with Alberto Del Rio, today's show, he was officially stripped of the GFW title because of what went on. GFW is basically saying, hey, you could have handled the argument at the airport a bit better, so we're stripping you the title. Del Rio, hey, I'll give him props. He fessed up like a man, said, hey, I could have handled, for the most part, I could have handled it better. I'm going to get my title back. Tell me about GFW and Del Rio. How long are they going to be around? Because I'd rather watch NJPW and ROH in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I wouldn't put too much stock in it, man. It's dying, man. Just like TNA died, GFW's going that way as well. I can't really, to be honest with you, I can't support Jeff Jarrett anymore. I tried for the long haul, and I've been a supporter and advocate, but that in light of what recent events have transpired, like anything that has his name attached to it, I can't. Not surprised about the stripping of the title. I mean, I want to say that I thought they had formally came out and stripped him previously. I guess they didn't. I thought that was they came out with a statement. Oh, they suspended him. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it's from a company aspect of it, taking the fan piece of it out. From a company aspect of it, I get it and I understand why they did it. I think that was the right move for them to do, and it will also ultimately create storylines, for them around the belt. It'll give them something to write about without having to worry about creative writing something. Not like anybody's gonna watch it, but still. Um,
I don't even think. Do they even have a TV deal?
yeah, they're on TV. I don't remember what the name of what the station is that they're on, but they're on TV on Thursday nights.
Oh, geez, I didn't know. Well, I would much rather. No knock on the league. I'd much rather watch ROH, and had the show not too long ago, about 2 months ago now, in Los Angeles, I believe it was, in California. So, do you think NJPW is going to try to slowly but surely might start to make their mark on the U.S. market?
I mean, I think they already have, right? Like the G summits that have been happening the last couple of weeks have garnered a lot of attention. It's actually on TV, on network TV. And then they had the marathons that come on right before it. So, and those have been pretty interesting. And one of the things that I've noticed is that there's a lot of uh, cross promotion, just an inherent cross promotion between the WWE and NJW or NJPW or New Japan Pro Wrestling. Yeah. So I don't know if you've seen it, but the Young Bucks they have like this web series that they do, Becoming the Elite.
Amazing.
And
Did you did you see the episode where they sang the Evolution theme song?
I have not, so I need to go back and watch it. And I've heard that they're funny, but was it 2 weeks ago or was it last week? Last week they were in Canada, right?
I believe so. Because a lot
Yeah.
of the most recent episodes, they've had Cody Rhodes, and the most they might have had them, but they're the
Yeah.
Becoming the Elite series is great. If you're a
So
wrestling fan, you need
last
to be watching it.
week, yeah, definitely. So last week they actually had Kevin Owens, AJ Styles, and they had Sami Zayn all in it. It was flipping great.
How did I miss this? Like the real Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn? How did they?
Yeah, yeah. So I think it opens up with Sami Zayn coming and asking for direction from the guys, and then they're like playing it nonchalant, like, "Oh yeah, it's over there around the corner, guys. Go over there." And then episodes there you see Kevin Owens in the background like sightseeing, and they're just kind of panning around and they see him. And there's one of AJ Styles. It's pretty good, man. You should go check it out if you haven't seen it.
I'll have to check it out. Yeah, I think W's doing. I think content and it is good. I think there's not. It's almost like a SmackDown episode because you have more wrestling than talking. But that's what the Japanese audience wants to see. So I can't knock them for that. So yeah, I'm extremely excited for what's to come with NJPW. It's unfortunate to hear about GFW and what's going on over there, but I digress because outside the ring there wasn't a ton much other than a get well soon from Sage and Mark and Van Goosen for Mr. Ric Flair. Even though what's funny was when I heard the news of Ric Flair, and he almost from what we're hearing, he came very close to passing away. But I gotta admit, when so I don't, I'll just say this: heaven isn't ready. Kiss stealing, wheeling, and dealing. The Golden Gates. When he shows up in his white limo, when Ric Flair is the only dude who could show up pearly gates in a stretch out and get out and say woo and show up at the Golden Gates and then just be wheeling and dealing, styling and profiling up in heaven. I didn't feel bad when I heard that he was sick, or that he got checked in the hospital, I was not upset whatsoever, because I know he's lived a great life. He will forever be the man of wrestling, especially in wrestling fans' hearts. So I had no issues, and I thought it was amazing. But get well soon, Nate, from Sage the Mark and Ben Goosen. Now, I got a lot to talk to you about this week. There's been some stuff. I did something that you're not supposed to do in real life. We're going to talk about real life. I'm a married man. I got kids. That's just the way life goes, right? And there's something you shouldn't do in life, whether it's at work, with your wife, whatever. Sage, you shouldn't hold things in, because that's not good. You should talk about things that you just don't like, right?
Sure. Keep it manifested. It only gets worse and makes things worse around you.
So I've been holding on to something here. Do it. And I'm a wrestling fan. It relates to wrestling. I've been holding something in, thinking it's going to change from week to week. And we're going to kick this off with Monday Night Raw. Monday Night Raw talk. On Monday Night Raw, and I need your advice, because I'm starting to get a bit upset. Jason Jordan, man. So since your episode of the Jordan Connection, I've been holding it in. I've been really holding it in. He's not the man. They're going to push him. He's not the man for it. You can't tell me that he's got this great talent, because he was the hot tag guy when he was in American Alpha. And now they're continuing to push, and Raw. If you watched it, I think it was in Canada the other week. I held it in. I held it in. You're not supposed to. You're supposed to talk about your feelings. And he got booed. Matter of fact, there was a "Let's Go Jobber" chant. This week on Raw, after 1 week of "Let's Go Jobber" chants and boos, they team him up with the Hardys. So with Jason Jordan, to me, in my opinion, the WWE wants him to get over as a face. But and maybe it's so it makes the heel turn that much better later on. I could completely understand that. Let's have him get over as a face, then he turns on Kurt Angle and fights Kurt Angle at some point and says, "I hate you, Dad. You were never there, Dad." Or quite frankly, "Hey, you're not my dad. I just used you to get over." And he'd be a super heel. But for him to be a super heel later on down the line, he's got to be a super face. So I'm just not a fan of Jordan, man. I think they paired him with the Hardys this week to try to get him over. This week he's in a SummerSLAM. He's in a 6-man tag match with the Hardys to try to get him over. So I want you to book, now through WrestleMania, book Jason Jordan for me as a heel, face, whatever you think, because I'm not buying it right now. I held it in. Don't hold stuff in.
I can't. And my opinion on it has actually changed quite significantly in the last 2 weeks, to be honest. I was really more of an advocate of let's just see where this thing goes. But it just seems like creative has just completely dropped the ball in terms of how they want to position him. Like, they're putting him in all these matches, but there's really not any story to the matches itself. And in the story that he tells in the ring is just toss people here, toss people there. So I think that whatever plans that they originally had for him, somehow someone pulled the plug on it, and now he's just like sinking like a fish. If we're gonna make this thing work, you've got to give him someone that he can really, really feud with, and it can't be somebody that's established. We've already seen, like, he's been paired every other week with The Miz, and as great as The Miz is, he can't even get him over. And to be honest with you, I don't even think AJ Styles or Chris Jericho, which, they get other people over. They get broomsticks and Ellsworths over. They can't help this guy here. So you've got to pair him up with someone that's a no name and just let him at it, man. I really wish they wouldn't have moved him without Gable. I think that would have been better. But I can't book him. Like, to come back to your question, I can't book him now until until Survivor Series. Heck, I can't book him from now until the next pay-per-view because he's on the wrong program.
Why can't you book him? You say he's on the wrong program. So why can't you come up with something? Because on the path we're going, he may, if he's going to get super pushed, he may end up pinning Braun Strowman at Survivor Series. He may be on the good if they don't do a Raw versus SmackDown thing, if it's just the best Raw guys or whatever, he may get the big push and the big rub at SummerSlam, or excuse me, Survivor Series. And we've talked about it last year on the podcast that Survivor Series is because you could push somebody without hurting somebody. So if somebody takes a loss, it really doesn't matter. But when somebody gets the Survivor Series win, it really puts them over. He has no mic. Would you agree that he has no mic skills at all?
He has no mic skills. 0.
You give him 1 through 10 on in-ring skills. I'm not talking about how good he could be. I'm talking about where he's at now.
I give him about a 6.5.
And that's generous. He's got he's got cool moves. So now I will say he's got the look. He's tall, he's a big dude. But I just don't.
He's got the wrong finisher.
I would love to see him book him. It's tough. You're right, man. Because he's on the verge of getting the Roman Reigns treatment. I think people are starting to get the, hey, who is this guy? Why is he Kurt Angle's son? And now you're just cramming him down our throats. Well, to the adult males and the marks, let's boo him, and the little kids, let's cheer him, just like Roman Reigns. And I know you could think that any audience reaction is good, and that's sure. I mean, we're talking about him, so something's going right. If he really didn't matter, we wouldn't be talking about him. But I just think he's going to hit a point where, and I'd hate to say this, man, because but he may hit a point where when he comes on, I don't care about the boos and cheers, but I change the channel, especially with football season starting and Monday Night Football starting up. Would you agree?
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's also one of the reasons why I think that it was a mistake to move him to Raw. Like Raw, regardless of how we feel about where SmackDown is, Raw is definitely considered to be the A's show. So if you don't have a program for someone, they shouldn't really be on Raw. And I kind of hate saying that, but like, I mean, think about it. Like Ty Dillinger on Raw wouldn't work because they don't got anything for him. They've got no gimmick for him. They've got no storyline to go with them. Mike Bennett on Raw, nothing for him, no storyline for him. He wouldn't work. But you put somebody else on there like an AJ or heck, maybe even Baron Corbin, which that'll be a whole different discussion. Like those guys would thrive because you can really do something with them. Like their gimmick can transcend both brands. But I mean, Jason Jordan at this point, he's just not ready for that. I mean, and I think that's the reason why they paired him up with Gable to begin with, is because they program for him. He can't make it on his own as a singles wrestler.
And the Hardys now.
Yeah, I mean, even with the Hard, well, and you're coming against a thin roster as it is. Heck, man, I would have probably preferred him to be feuding with the Drifter. I mean, at least that would have been something. But I don't know, man. The Drifter's got more gimmicks the Drifter has a better storyline or entertaining storyline than Jason Jordan. He doesn't wrestle half the time that he's on the program.
You have a 3-hour show, and the Drifter comes out and sings, and he gets insanely bad heat, but he never wrestles. I don't know. Maybe are we onto something? I'm not ragging on wrestling, but you just mentioned 3 names. So you mentioned on SmackDown, on the SmackDown side, you mentioned Ty Dillinger, and you mentioned someone else a
Mike
second ago.
Bennett.
And Mike Bennett, who haven't been on SmackDown at all in the past 2 weeks or more. And the Drifter, he's got the look. He's a big dude, and he gets some crazy heat. So I wonder, you have all the you cannot tell me in 5 hours of TV one of those 3 guys in a match, in a feud. So there's got to be more to the story. I don't know what it is. I love me some wrestling. I love those 3 right there. It's just weird that the perfect 10 is over. Mike Bennett could be a mega heel. He could be a really big heel in my opinion. But you don't have these guys on SmackDown. So I don't know. And props to the WWE if they're thinking more long term, like, well, they kind of just, debuted on the roster not too long ago, and we've got long term plans for them up until WrestleMania. So hopefully that's the plan. Because I hate seeing those guys sit on the sideline, especially when Raw is 3 hours. Nobody should be sitting on the sideline there. So yeah, the Jason Jordan thing, I have a good feeling. I hate to say this, but I know they're in the 6-man match. And they're on the kickoff show, by the way. So it's Jason Jordan and the Hardys versus the Miz Taraj, including the Miz. And I have a feeling Jason Jordan's going to get the pin. Now, if we're gonna,
he may get the pin, but before we go into the next topic, can we say bravo to Bo Dallas, man, showing up, man.
Yeah, he stepped it up big time.
Yeah.
He's changed, character now, and he's got the look. Hats off to
Bo Dallas. Yeah, man. What do they call Bo Dallas, man, with that one hand glove and the glasses and looking lean now, which is pretty good. Getting back to that Royal Rumble shape, that Royal Rumble debut shape. So
I agree. I think props to Bo Dallas. He's doing his thing. You know who's not doing his thing? I've said this countless times. Enzo, bro. Enzo sucks. This Enzo Cass feud.
Yeah, I mean,
shark cage match.
God, I feel I don't know what to feel about this whole segment thing. Like, this has gone on for so long, and I feel like Big Cass is like, his stock is like dropping tremendously. Although the boos that he received, that heat that he received, was just amazing, and I marked the hell out when I heard it.
He's getting real heat. So, it's him, Big Show, and Enzo, and Big Cass hasn't shown that he could do much in the ring yet. I mean, he's still got much to show. Him, Big Show, and Enzo, and he's the one getting the mega heat. So I'll give him credit, but I just don't care about this feud. Do you care about it at all? Because I know definitely when I think of the grand scheme of things, or I look at it, I just don't. I don't know. Like, Enzo, the thing is if Enzo made a move or Enzo did something that was better than him just getting knocked out every single week, because right now, basically playing the role of the manager, he runs his mouth, and his mic skills are killer. Skills are super killer. He just runs his mouth too, but he sells like a manager. Every time he gets hit, he sells like he had been hit with a garbage bag full of bricks. A garbage bag full of bricks. It's insane. You know what I'm saying? So we've talked before about Enzo going to 205. So just flat out, and he's in the doghouse apparently. He's gotten. It was on with the WWE Table for Three, the show with Rosenberg on the WWE network, where they talk about some topics, and apparently he rubs some people the wrong way. You live and you learn. You get over it. But this feud sucks, right? Can you agree? You agree with me,
Yeah,
right?
well, yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with you, and shout out to Stephen Thatch and Mel Johnson in the chat there. But
Yeah,
yeah,
Miller
I mean,
Mel Johnson.
Mel Johnson. Um, I mean, yes, I mean, it's pretty clear as day that Enzo is getting this treatment because of everything that's been going on off the camera. I think it's pretty safe to say. I mean, I know we're speculating, but it looks like. I mean, this is kind of the heat that you would get back in the day when you did something that you weren't supposed to, that you rubbed the locker room the bad way. The problem is that it's starting to damage not just him, but it's also starting to damage the other people around him, mainly Big Cass. And I mean, Big Cass should already have had two feuds with someone else other than the Big Show, or actually, I guess including the Big Show, and he can't because they keep sticking him with Enzo. Um, and to be honest with you, I think the only way that you're going to make this work is by putting Big Cass and Enzo back together. So maybe somehow Enzo turns on the Big Show and him and Cass get back together, and then they're a heel stable going forward, or not stable, but a heel group going forward, and kind of salvage whatever you have. I don't know if they're going to go in that direction, but I feel like that's going to be the smart play because obviously Cass can't do it on his own right now. Doesn't have the charisma. He's got the mic skills, but just doesn't have the charisma to carry himself at this point, at this juncture.
So I totally agree. I think they need to make Enzo a manager and just I think either 205 Live or a manager at this point, and then move Cass on to bigger and brighter things because he's obviously going to beat the Big Show. It's going to be on the main card this weekend, so I think it's pretty obvious he's going to show. Now, Stephen Thatch, one of the live listeners in the chat here, said book Jordan versus Cena. So going back to Jason Jordan, book Jordan versus Cena, and Cena beats him up. So it's just kind of like when Kurt Angle beat up John Cena in John Cena's debut, just so you have that little throwback moment. So I'm cool with that as long as Cena gets the clean win and beats him up because it gives the little throwback moment. So I'd be all right with that. Now, I
But
may or may,
it doesn't do anything for Cena, and it's definitely not doing anything for Jordan to bury him either. Like Cena's buried enough people. I don't need to bury Jason Jordan, who's already struggling.
I agree. So yeah, one I guess when Cena debuted, he was just Joe Blow jobber at that time. Nobody knew he was going to be the next Hulk Hogan, the next Rock, the next Steve Austin or whatever, and be in the mainstream media. So, I agree. I think that it could work. Maybe it would work. Maybe it wouldn't work. But what is working, in my opinion, Raj, is I think it's great. The Miz, he may even get my vote. The IRWP awards are coming up here in December, folks. He may even get my vote for Wrestler of the Year. Because you could say, I know we normally go with, AJ Styles, Kevin Owens. Let me go with somebody who had this most memorable match. But if I look at who contributed the most to the business, he helped put, he was I shouldn't say he helped put Brock over, but he got beat up on Raw to make Brock look powerful. Miz is arguably, not arguably, the best on the mic in the WWE today. He's not great in the ring. I'd say he's like a 6, but he can get people over like it's nothing. He took Bo Dallas, who wasn't doing much, Curtis Axel, who wasn't doing much, and brought him up to the mainstream just with his mic skills, let alone. And now the Miz Taraj is something to be reckoned with, man. Jinder Mahal might be up there too, but yeah, that's the strike of gold, right? Would you say right now is the Miz Taraj on Raw?
He's definitely got my vote, man. I mean, he's exactly how you said, man. He's elevating other people's talent. I mean, he's elevating other people you know, and it's funny because he's not defending the Intercontinental belt, but I don't feel that same pressure like as in he has to, like I did with Dean Ambrose holding the belt. Like it just fits around him, and he, like, to me, that's probably the best belt on Raw right now. Like that's the belt that really matters on Raw right now, and it's not even an object of contention right now, and that's a testament of how great the Miz is that you don't have to see it defended. You know it's there. You know it's great. Let him do his thing. Let him work. Let him get other guys over, whether it's in his stable or someone that he's going against. Um, the Miz is great, man. He's top three for sure. Number one contender for Wrestler of the Year.
Yeah, by far. Like easily. Now, we talk about kind of the highlight moments that the Miz has bought into wrestling this past 2-3 months, and how he's putting people over. Now, we talk about that and the highlight moments that really kick us into Raw. There's been some super highlight moments over the past few weeks, and that's the fist bump between Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins.
Damn, I thought you were gonna say the showdown between the Miz and Paul Heyman, because that was great last week.
Actually, about Jalisco 156 and their delicious tacos. The showdown between me, a morning cup of coffee, and Jalisco 156. My old friends at Jalisco 156. And there's a Jalisco 156 in every city that you live in. It's delicious breakfast tacos. Some of you on the East Coast might call them breakfast burritos, but fresh made salsa each and every day. Everything made to order. Jalisco 156. Tell them your boy Ben Goosen sent you there. They probably won't give you anything but a couple creams for your cup of coffee. But showdowns, I wasn't going to talk about Miz with the Miz Taraj. I was going to talk about Jalisco 156.
I ain't putting no music behind that, man.
No, that was straight up G. Straight up. But it's been, yeah, so I will give, before we get into what I think about what's going on with Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins, yeah, the Miz, the Brock Lesnar segment, I thought was awesome. It didn't help or didn't hurt anybody. But yeah, that we have two people. It didn't even matter. Wrestling didn't even matter. It was, all right, the mic is in the hand of two people who can cut a promo on anybody and make anybody look good or bad. Loved it. You?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, man. I marked the heck out, man. Like when Paul Heyman was like, "My name is," and Miz said, "My name goes up, your mouth goes shut." I was like, "Yo, this is about to get real."
Oh yeah, I loved that whole segment. Yeah, like top three. This is top three. Now going back to, they had the big heartfelt moment this week where they both fist bumped each other. So, and I like that these two guys are going to team up. Backstory, but here's what's killing it for me. This is really killing it for me. That there's Seth Rollins and Ambrose. It's obvious. I mean, reunion's going to happen, if not within the next year, within the next 5 or 10. Happen. But what's killing me, and I need to get over this. I just need to get over this. But for a potential Shield reunion could be huge. Is that Roman Reigns has the Shield theme song still kept it on him just to get him over, and he still wears the exact same outfit as he wore in the Shield. Because if the Shield reunion was real, there would be nothing better than hearing Sierra Hotel Echo Delta Lima Delta Delta Echo Shield, the whatever.
Shield.
dun dun dun. But guess what? You hear that song every week. Reigns wears the Shield outfit every week. It's not a theme song. I'm just here. Like right now, if I heard the NWO theme song, as old as Hall and Nash are, I'd be like, oh man, oh no, you got about 15 people come to jump your ass. But because it's nostalgia with the Shield, because Roman Reigns is still and coming out to the same Shield theme song. Do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. The only thing that'll make it work, I mean, and it'll wear thin real quick, but it's hearing, the Sierra Hotel India Echo Lima Delta Shield like that.
Oh yeah,
that makes it over the top for us. But I mean, with the new theme songs that Seth now has, and and Dean's theme song is kind of iconic now. Like, there's Roman's theme is just not going to come across as like Getty. The only way that I'm going to be invested in the Shield reunion, to be honest with you, is if it leads to a War Games. And I know I keep saying it, and I'm on this tirade for about a year now saying it, but that's the only way that this is going to be rewarding, is if we get a War Games. If we get a Balor Club versus the Shield versus the Hardys versus the Bullet Club. Like, that's the only way it's going to work for me.
You know why War Games won't work? Because you know who's going to win War Games? I'm going to tell you right now. If they did War Games and they had the 2 rings back to back, you know who's going to win the whole thing? Jason Jordan.
But I'd be okay with that.
You wouldn't. You would think it was terrible. If he won the whole thing, you would say, well, at least I got War Games. At least I got to see it.
And that's all I want to see, man. To be honest with you, that's the win for me right there, is to have a War Games where you have all of those people. It makes sense. Like, you just do it. Just pull the trigger and just do it. Let's just get it. I mean, let's be real. Let's be real. All these budget cuts that they're doing with the entrance and the theme songs and the fireworks, it's all so that they can put all that money into putting the War Games together in November. Let's be real.
All right. Well, at least we can agree on Enzo's character's trash. That storyline's not that fun. Not really sure about what we should expect out of Jason Jordan. But let me ask you then, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to throw in the Hype Brothers into that mix of this when it comes to Ty Dillinger and all the other guys of why aren't they used. But I wrote a note here and I thought to myself, man, and guess who popped her head up this week on Raw and lost straight up to Mickie James?
I'm so pissed
What's
off.
wrong with Emma? I thought her match with Asuka was Asuka's, you could argue, her best match in NXT. What's wrong with Emma?
I don't think it's. I really don't think it's her. I honestly, it's the women's division altogether on Raw. It's a travesty. Like, before we had the issues last week, you and I were talking offline about, the poor decisions that they were making on the women's divisions, like the gauntlet matches or whatever. Like, I would have, I don't know, man. I would have probably had like 3 separate matches or 4 separate matches, and had an Emma win one match and then go against Sasha for the second, and then on the other side had Nia Jax go against Mickie James and then go against Bayley or something like that. Give it some, like, I'm dumbfounded, man. I really wanted Nia to win, like, the whole thing. I would have loved to see an Emma versus Nia Jax to determine who was going to who's going to fight Sasha Banks. I'm not Sasha Banks, but
the beautiful
5 Feet of Fury.
Yeah, Alexa Bliss, the very beautiful.
Yeah,
The very beautiful.
I'm just, I don't know, man. And Sasha is like, I hate to say this, but I'm growing tired of Sasha being in the spotlight, just like I was with Charlotte Flair. Like I was tired of her just constantly be in the spotlight because it takes away from everyone else. And granted, SmackDown has done a great job at like dialing her back and doing other things with her, and that's why I appreciate the women's division in SmackDown because it gives everybody a chance to flourish. But on Raw, there's no development in the women whatsoever, and I don't get it. I don't understand. Like you guys are the forebearers, you guys are the leader for the women's revolution, but you continually week after week after week fuck it up. Like I don't get that. I don't. It just it irritates me, man. Like no reason Nia Jax should be tapping out to Sasha Banks. And granted, it was a great match. I'm not taking anything away from Sasha. It was a great match. I'm just I'm tired of Nia taking unnecessary L's.
Especially when they build her up like a female Braun Strowman, which we've talked about before on the podcast. You know what I mean?
She beat the hell out of Sasha on Monday, dude. When Sasha tried to do that double knees and she just like ragdolled her into the barricade, like that's what you want. That's a monster. You don't make that monster tap out.
Yeah, I'm completely on board. I think that you have to build up a female beast. I think that the Awesome Kong would have been that female beast, but obviously her run in the WWE was just cut short. I think, but they don't have that. They don't have a lot of athletic. They have a lot of good women's talent. Have that beast. So maybe they think that Nia's not ready. I don't know. I don't know, but it hurts her because it hurts her. It hurts her, but she'll climb out of that hole. Now, climbing out of that hole, I'm going to just go ahead and say that there's some guys on SmackDown who have taken some losses lately, and a couple who have taken some W's. Guys who have taken some losses. There's one guy in particular that I think that took a loss this week.
It wasn't a loss, man. It was a win. Cash me outside. How about that?
Yep, you know where I'm going with this. You know where I'm going with this. So spit your fire, spit your knowledge, spit your thoughts.
Yo, hit the road because your boy's about to go off. Oh my God, what the hell was going on that Monday? You had the greatest. You had the John Cena versus the Maharaja coming down and was going back and forth. And oh my God, Maharaja was looking great, kicking out of not just one AA, not just two AA, but kicking out almost on a super AA. And we thought that. We really legitimately thought that our boy Maharaja was going to get it on John Cena looking strong going into SummerSlam fighting that Nakamura. And then all of a sudden out of left field, you get the lone wolf coming in. Baron Corbin asserting his will on John Cena. Looking like a beast, knocking him out, letting him go, walking out the ring. And then what's this? He forgets. Homeboy forgets that he has the briefcase, and you know what he sees? Maharaja took a Super Cena double AA from the top ropes. I'm gonna cash this sucker in. I'm just gonna cash this sucker in. So he goes in there. He goes and cashes it in. He goes in there. But what's the ref doing? I don't know what the ref is doing. Putting smelling salt on the Maharaja, trying to wake him up or something. But the bell starts to ring, and then all of a sudden we thought that the lone wolf was going to go after Maharaja, but no, he turns around because he's got that wolf sense. He feels like there's another presence on the apron, and he turns around. He cold cocks that John Cena. When he cold cocks that John Cena, he comes back and he gets that schoolboy 1, 2, 3. Oh my God, Baron Corbin's got. Oh my God, that's what happened. That's what happened.
That's exactly where I was going with that. This week's SmackDown was, if you saw the tweets, this week's SmackDown was by far the best SmackDowns I've ever seen. And there's a lot of hate and a lot of love. on SmackDown this week. Real quick, I have to give credit. If you what we do, this is unedited, so you see all of our screw ups and all that good stuff. Steven Thatch just says the Shield will take out Strowman. Going back to Raw real quick, I'm not really sure if they take out Strowman. They might be the ones that take out Brock, but we'll see. Last SmackDown I've seen, I watched the entire thing, and I watched it an hour late, so I watched it on delay, so I could have easily had fast forwarded through the whole thing. To me, for those of y'all who hate the cash-in, I think we all, as wrestling fans, thought Nakamura is going to win this weekend. And you completely took that factor out. So at this point, you don't know who's going to win between Mahal and Nakamura. And let me tell you why. Soon, we'll say third, fourth quarter this year. So you could easily be the champ and they, make a bunch of money while they're in India. He's the Indian champ. Or you have Nakamura as the champ and you think, oh man, this is cool. This is something different. I mean, you turn to Raw and you have Brock Lesnar, champ, the big guy, the beast, and then you turn to another show and you have Nakamura, Japanese, excellent wrestler, huge Nakamura fan, and it's just something completely different. So it completely took that guessing factor out of the equation. People can say, well, I was really hoping for a cash. Oh, then shut up. Hope for a Carmella cash-in. You want to be surprised. Hope for a Carmella cash-in right now. And then I had my doubts. I thought, I don't know about Jinder and Nakamura. It might be a crap. If they go with a stiff, strong style match, knocked out Finn Balor on Raw, and everybody saw it. He knocked him out cold. What, 3 months ago?
Yep.
Got the strong style from Jinder working stiff from Jinder. I think this main event's actually going to be. It's going to be close, and it's going to be so good because you just don't know who's going to win. And you're going to have the Singh brothers there. Truly don't know if this is the end of the let's push Jinder, or if this is you know nothing, and taking the Money in the Bank out of it means more of you don't know anything, and it adds to the scene of Baron Corbin. Because if I was Baron Corbin, say, was this week's SmackDown just not amazing, flawless?
I mean, how can you be upset about this, right? Like, and that's one of the things that I'm frustrated with, and went on that tangent again about how we're spoiled. Like we complain about things being too predictable, and then when they do something that's out of left field that may not match our logical thought process right now, like we crap all over it. Dude, we just got a cash in that failed. Only the 2 times in history has that actually happened, a cash in that failed. And it was hilarious. It was funny. It brought light. It made you feel what wrestling was all about. So how can you crap on that? How can you shit on that? Now the implications are going to SummerSlam is just like you said. You can push Jinder Mahal here, or you can chance it all on Nakamura. And heck, we could have, and I've been saying this for a couple of weeks, I haven't said it on air, but for the first time ever, we could have 3 Japanese stars holding the top titles coming in and going out of SummerSlam. Like that is mind-boggling. That's amazing. Ever. Like, just think about that. 3 Japanese stars holding your top titles out of SummerSlam. What more can you ask for?
No, that's huge. And you mentioned people thinking it's ruining something or spoiling something. It goes back to the argument that we talked about not long ago, saying, I want to be surprised more. Then they get surprised, And then they complain about, well, why didn't you put that on a pay-per-view? Why was it on free TV? Yo, who cares? I think about it. I watch the pay-per-views because they're on, and the big matches happen at the pay-per-views. Surprise on Raw and SmackDown. I'm like, ooh. And then you know what it makes me do? Surprise on SmackDown. It makes me watch the next 2-3 weeks of SmackDown live easily. Even though obviously we got the podcast thing going on, and we watch all the episodes of everything. And it tunes you in for the next 2-3 weeks. So I thought I thought this week's SmackDown was flawless. Flawless. Best SmackDown I've ever seen. Best SmackDown I've seen since the brand split, for sure.
And if I can add real quick, like I think that we're going about this pay-per-view thing all wrong. There's only 4. Let's be real. Like there's only 4 pay-per-views a year. That's it. 4. The rest are just glorified extension shows of Raw and SmackDown on Sundays, and that's it. They're not pay-per-views. They're just extension shows, blow-off shows. We don't have pay-per-views anymore. Like our pay-per-views are Royal Rumble, SummerSLAM, Survivor Series, and the WrestleMania, and that's it. And maybe Money in the Bank, but those are it. Those are your pay-per-views of year. Those are the ones that actually matter. The other ones are just used to advance storylines or create new ones. And I think that if we can get into that mindset, I think that we would be all on the same page. We'll be okay. I think there would be less complaining. But I don't know. I digress.
Well, I agree. I agree. And it's going to, I mean, and that's a good thing about the wrestling community is we talk about a scripted show, so everything is subjective and everybody's point matters. Yeah, absolutely. So I think that's one of the great things. So let's get into some predictions for this weekend. And let's start with the NXT Takeover before we really get into what's going on at SummerSLAM. And if you want, Sage, we don't have to talk about the Big Show Cass and Amore match. We could skip that. I'm down if you are. But let's get into NXT Takeover Brooklyn. I think that this is NXT Takeover Brooklyn 3, so it shows the repetitiveness. So let's get into fighting Andrade Cien Almas. I think that one we're probably both going to agree that Gargano's going to go over there, right?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, Andrade is just there to put people over. And we said it the last takeover. He's just there to put people over. He's more than primed and ready to be on the main roster. It's just a matter of finding the right slot for him. Probably won't be until after Royal Rumble next year, but we got Gargano, hands down.
I think they're going to build up Gargano to fight Ciampa the NXT Takeover. I doubt Royal Rumble, but I think they're going to build that up. Alistar Black and Hideo Itami. I think that one has Alistar Black written all over it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the Hideo Itami experiment and worked out. I mean, he's been injured a lot, so I won't be surprised if he doesn't make the main roster. What do you think?
Yeah, Alistar Black all the way. I think Hideo is. I don't think he's going to make the main roster. Unfortunately, he's got all that talent, but just can't stay healthy, and that's a recipe for disaster on the main roster. So I like him. I mean, he's great. I liked his indie work. It's just unfortunately you get those guys that the bodies just don't hold up. And his demeanor just doesn't seem like he wants to be there. Like it shows in his wrestling. So,
yeah, it's a job. I agree. He'd probably be happier in Japan, and he'd probably make a lot more money. I would think a ton more money. Now, one match I'm looking forward to is the AOP, the Authors of Pain versus Sanity. Kind of a heel versus heel match, so I think the intensity will be hyped up a little bit. I'm not going to lie. I think the losers of this match will be on SmackDown within a month.
We're on the same page, man. I think that AOP is going to be the ones that get called up in 2 weeks to kind of coincide with the Fashion Police. I think that they're going to intertwine those storylines together.
Wow.
And that's
That's a
no
good
inside knowledge or anything like that. It seems like it's the best play to go. They're ready. And I think that they've learned from their mistakes in terms of like safety and things of that nature. They're ready to go. It's time for Sanity to start taking control of NXT, and it starts with the tag team division.
Yeah, I agree. I think Sanity can take control of NXT, and with their setup, they could hold multiple titles. So I completely agree with you. Now, Asuka versus Ember Moon. It's a rematch. I think it should be a good match. You've said it before. You think Asuka's getting the call up sooner than later. This match, it could very well be.
Yeah, so I am so conflicted with this decision here. So, and it's mainly because of the way that they've built Asuka. It's unlike anyone that they've built in NXT before. I mean, it's very similar to the Goldberg run, but one that's actually believable. Not, and I know that sounds terrible. I'm a Goldberg fan, but you'll see what I mean when I say it, but or when I explain it. So my thing is, yes, we can 90% certainty Asuka is going to be within the next 3 weeks on SmackDown. I mean, arguably they need her on Raw more, but she's going to get the call up. It's time. There's no reason not to. I'm hoping that Paul Heyman makes the shift and kind of helps her through it. But I think that it's too predictable for her to lose to Ember Moon. I mean, you remember this is the woman who beat 3 people in 2 consecutive pay-per-views back to back.
Oh yeah.
So wouldn't it be more interesting if it goes with her gimmick that nobody can beat Asuka? Nobody is ready for the Empress of Tomorrow. She beats Ember Moon convincingly, and
Again.
again, and she just drops the title and says, "There is no one left for me to beat. I'm going somewhere else," and just takes off. Like I am so infatuated with that idea of her. Like her her streak should not be beaten by anybody. Like it should be carried on and should not be beaten by anybody except for Charlotte at WrestleMania.
That's great. And especially if they plant the seed that it it shouldn't be beaten by anybody but Charlotte. I think that's a great idea. And it's even better in the long term. I like that. Asuka can say, I'm leaving. There's nothing anybody can do about it. I'm out. I'm leaving. And then she shows up on SmackDown. And then that means on NXT, you got a vacant title, so you get the whole tournament appeal going. Or maybe the winner
Yes.
of the Mae Young Classic fights Ember Moon or whatever the case may be. I think that's a great idea. Good booking, Sage. Damn, look at you,
Well,
Sage.
I come up with it every once in a while, man. But it's been something I've been thinking about for a while, man. And Asuka, like ever since kind of hit the scene, like it's something special. Like I've seen her 3 times live, and I am invested in her character and her success. And I do understand that at some point she have to fall, but now is not the time to have her fall. Like it just makes perfect sense. Like if you're going to carry this character, carry it through WrestleMania, but have someone of notable performance beat her for her streak. It would mean so much more to both her character and the title itself because that's what she prides herself on is being the best.
And I totally agree. And now, speaking of the best, you can't be the best if you're not glorious. And in the main event, Bobby Roode and Drew McIntyre. So, actually, that match, I think he's going to stay around in NXT for a while. Not because he's good or bad or anything like that. I just think he'll stay around for a while. So I really hope Bobby Roode wins this match. Actually, what do you think?
Nah, Bobby's coming up too. It's they've got talent left over, man. They've got superstars there. They've got Drew McIntyre. They've got Alistar Black, which those guys are going to have programs together. They've got the other guy, what's his name? Roderick Strong. Like they're going to be fine. They don't need Bobby Roode there. I would much rather see Bobby Roode. If they pull the trigger on Bobby Roode now, we could see him in a stable as part of War Games. And I mean that in all sincerity. Like I think that you could put him in a stable leading up to War Games, and maybe that even being his first debuting match. Maybe the first month or two he's just cutting promos like a Razor Ramon used to do before he actually made his debut. I think that would be glorious. I mean, it works for the Drifter, right? We don't see him wrestle, but we're still invested in his character.
Yeah, so I totally agree. I think that uh, Bob won, but I don't want to pick it based on if he's going to get called up or not. So I think he may lose, but if I had to bet, like I said earlier, I'd have to bet on him winning. Now, SummerSlam, let's get into some SummerSlam predictions.
Yeah, yay!
So the Hardys, and this is pre-show, so it doesn't really count, but we're doing a SummerSlam themed show this week. So the Hardys and Jason Jordan versus the Miz Taraj. Taraj wins that. I don't think they will, but I think Jason Jordan's going to get the pin. If I had to pick, Jason Jordan's getting the pin for the win. What do you think?
Yeah, just there's nothing for the Mistras to prove. I got Jason Jordan all the way. If for some reason Jason Jordan loses, and when I say loses, like takes the pen, then they're pulling the plug on his character.
Great point. Now, this kind of surprised me. The Usos and New Day, they're going to be on the pre-show. I hope the
Why?
Usos win. I don't
Why?
think they do. Yeah, exactly. I don't know why that's on the. Yeah, no comment. But I got the New Day retaining.
Uh, um, this will be the rubber match too, I think. I think I'm gonna go with the Usos to win this one.
Yeah, I'm really pulling for them to snatch this one up. And then Neville and Tozawa, the rematch, that's actually happened on the pre-show too. So
Yeah.
I was Bull's reign is unfortunately done.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised that you missed an opportunity to segue by saying snatch snatch Naomi bald and going into that match instead. But I digress. Uh, Neville and Tozawa. Damn, man, this one is kind of tough, man. I wish you watched 205 Live this week. We actually saw a Neville. God, man, you actually need to go back and before you see SummerSlam, just go back and watch the ending of 205 Live. Um, I have a new appreciation for Neville, having seen him lose the belt and see what it actually meant to him. And he was just fighting like he was desperate. And he was just like getting his ass handed to him every single time. And it was wonderful. Neville is on a whole nother level. Like that Neville level is real, guys. So with that being said, I have Tozawa winning or retaining the belt, winning and retaining the belt. It makes more sense. Like Neville doesn't need it. He did his job there, and I think 205 Live can give him a break for a month or two.
Yeah, I agree. I think this match might be the opener. So John Cena and Baron Corbin.
I actually have Baron Corbin winning this one, surprisingly. I think that
Same here. Same here.
with John Cena being a free agent, this will give him an out to go to Raw. Um, yeah, and Baron Corbin needs the win. I mean, uh, can we talk about that cash in, man? Have we talked about that cash in?
We did.
Oh my God,
We talked about it earlier.
that
Yeah.
cash in was hilarious, bro. I think I've seen that cash in like 6 or 7 times, man. Well played, Mr. Corbin. Well played, man. I'm a
Well,
fan.
yeah. So because of how well played it is, he's probably going to get the win because I think Cena is in put over people mode. So I would love to see Baron Corbin win. Now, I don't know if this is going to be the second match in the night. I'm just calling these matches out as I remember them. Rusev and Randy Orton. I think Rusev's going to he really needs to win this one.
Yeah, Rusev, hands down.
Yeah, I think Rusev needs this match for sure. A lot more. Now, speaking of needing the matches and somebody who wins maybe some matches inconsistently, we got Bray Wyatt versus the Demon Finn Balor. I don't know if this is going to end up being a match. I assume it is. So Bray Balor, the Demon. So I've got the Demon to kind of build something up to the Demon. He wins all the time, and he's undefeated or whatever. So that's my thoughts. What about you for that Finn Balor Bray Wyatt match?
Oh man, I mean Bray Wyatt can't win to save his life on pay-per-views, man. But I think that we're anticipating Balor winning, especially because he's going to be in demon mode. But I have Bray Wyatt actually inking a win on this one here, and I will. God, I have him. I have Bray Wyatt winning, but that's not the end of Finn Balor for the night, and we'll talk about that when we get to the main event.
Perfect. Now, and so do you care about Big Cass versus Big Show? We'll just say Big Cass is going to win and move on.
The only Cass is definitely winning. I don't care about this match. Don't get me wrong. But what would make me care about it is if somehow Enzo turns heel on Big Show. So we'll see how that rolls out, man. For Enzo's sake and because of the way that he's been getting heat, I just hope nothing happens to that cage, bro. Just saying.
I agree. I agree. Now moving on, we got Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins versus the tag champs. Uh, I don't think the titles will change. It'll be a good match, and I just don't think the title's going to change hands.
Titles are changing hands, man.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a
Bold prediction.
I yo fudge, man. It's yeah, the title's gotta change hands, man. I think that that's gonna be part of the storyline of the Shield reunion is getting the tag team belts. That's one piece of it, and then the other piece of it will be fitting Roman Reigns into this storyline somehow. And hopefully, it's not the Universal title, but unfortunately, it's looking that way.
I agree. And so, how about Kevin Owens and AJ Styles with Shane McMahon as the special guest referee? I'm personally pulling for AJ Styles.
I think AJ Styles would be the better play for this one here because they're obviously trying to get a Kevin Owens and uh, Kevin Owens and Shane McMahon fight, which I think would be flipping fantastic. Um,
Oh yeah,
so I think you let AJ win this one, and that's will give AJ an opportunity to drop the belt to Gable um, in a few months. Um, let him rack up some wins. AJ will beat Rusev in a couple of matches, and then not Jason Jordan, but then Gable will become the holder before WrestleMania. which will then lead to AJ and Nakamura by WrestleMania. Just saying.
Good call. Good
Long-term
call.
booking, bro.
So let's do the women's matches really quick here. Natalia and Naomi.
Real
Naomi's
quick,
going to win that, right?
what the hell? Are we Raw? What the hell?
Well,
Real
no.
quick. No
There's one
respect,
match
man. No respect.
of those two matches that we can go through real quick. The Naomi and Natalia. Naomi's winning that, right?
Oh man, I think Natalia's gonna win. That Carmella's gonna cash in.
Okay, I can go with that. I do want to see Sasha and Alexa. I think that might be a really good match. I think it could be a really good match. I think they've kind of doctored themselves up on social media and, gone off on Talking Smack and gone off on other social platforms and stuff like that about them almost seeming to have a real dislike of each other. So there's, I don't know. I think there's a good chance that could be. I'm not saying match of the night, but it's going to be a great match. Sasha.
Yeah, I mean, I have no doubt that it won't be I don't have a doubt that it'll be a good match. Both of those ladies put everything that they do into it, into the matches. I just one, Sasha's been kind of reckless when she's fought uh, Alexa Bliss, like the last two times that they got into it. Like, man, the first encounter where she was tossing her out of the ring, she actually kicked her in the head.
Oh yeah.
So there was that. And then the other one was the double knees from the top, which was a great spot, but she did it while she wasn't even really ready, and then she busted her open again. So like Alexa's legit has a gripe, at least from that perspective of it, and I like it when it's a shoot, a work shoot kind of thing. But I don't like it if it goes a little bit overboard because I feel like it interferes with the art of wrestling.
Yeah, I totally agree. So who do you have coming out of this match as the new champion?
Oh man, you know what? I'm gonna go with Alexa Bliss, and it's only because I want there to be an Alexa Bliss versus Nia Jax. To me, that's where the money is. That's it. If Sasha has the belt, there's no money in any other matchups except for Bayley, and the only way that that's going to work is if they pull the trigger on the boss, and they're not going to pull the trigger on the boss.
No, no time soon. I don't see any women's gimmicks changing anytime soon. But I think as I watch through all these matches, it does make me pretty pumped for the main events. So we have two main events, both titles on the line. So Nakamura, Mahal, Jinder, Shinsuke. The money in the bank is out of the way. Who do you top in this match?
I feel like it's too soon to pull the trigger on Nakamura winning. I think that you have the ability to are part of Mahal, and until Nakamura deals with them, the belt is staying with the Maharaja. So I've got Nakamura winning, but I don't have him winning the title. I just have him winning by
Maybe DQ
disqualification.
Okay, I could see that, and I'll agree with you there. I definitely have Nakamura coming out. I've got him winning, but I agree with you. I didn't think he was going to win the title. We'll see. I think it'll be a good match. Like I mentioned earlier, these guys can wrestle strong style. In the main event, it's going to be Roman Reigns, Samoa Joe, Braun Strowman, and Brock Lesnar. Regardless of what you think on if Brock Lesnar is going to the UFC or not, who cares? I've actually got Brock retaining in this match because of who's all in the ring. They're going to take each other out.
Oh man, so I've So I feel like Brock is going to take the pen. And I think that he's going to take the pen because of either the club or maybe more reliable, the Miztourage getting involved.
Oh wow.
Because I mean, they took they took a hell of an ass beating 2 weeks ago and didn't say anything about it this week. So, and the Miz isn't one to just let things go. So hopefully they put him in the ring to where it's, they cost Brock Lesnar the match, and then that sets up a program between Brock Lesnar and the Miztourage right before SummerSlam or right before Survivor Series.
Good call. Very good call. I think SummerSlam's going to be a great show. I've got Brock winning. Hopefully, it's not by any shenanigans, so we'll see. But other than that, I went through 3 sticky page notes. I had 3 pages of notes actually that I went through with you. I didn't have anything else that I wanted to cover this week, man. What about you?
Just a couple of things. Definitely get into some shout outs too. But I'll definitely keep it short. But just remember, guys, we are running a contest from until the day 8. To be eligible, all you have to do is take a snapshot of you subscribing to the podcast. So whether you're on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, FM Player, or any other place that you get your podcast, just take a snapshot of you subscribing, post it to your favorite social media account with the hashtag IRWP, and you'll be entered for a chance to win a copy of 2K18 WWE. Our first drawing is next Monday on the 28th of August, so don't miss out on that. Very, very simple on that. I do want to thank everyone who's joined us live for the chat. Mel Johnson, Mr. Steven Thatch. Thank you so much, guys, for continuing to support us live. I didn't see any Wrestling Nation, but I know that they're there in spirit, especially with their homeboy Jinder Mahal winning the belt. So with that being said, let me just go through a couple of shout outs here. So thank you so much for Timothy Hernandez for joining us. Say Uncle, King of the Ring Customs, Udaus, UFC News, Callie, Aaron Berry, Kendra Buan, Young O, Mizzy, Harold. Also, shout out to wrestling. If you guys don't know, wrestling promotion down here in which is just north of San Antonio, about an hour drive here. They were kind enough to help facilitate our interviewings that we're going to hopefully conduct in the next couple of months here with very, very classy people up there. So if you haven't subscribe to Wrestling Circus, which they actually show their shows free on Twitch, but just
Yeah,
at
they do.
Wrestle Circus on Twitter, and you get all the information there. And with that, that's all the shout outs that we had for the week, my friend.
Perfect. Well, we had a great week in wrestling today that we discussed. Oh, such an amazing week. I look forward to Survivor Series. I look forward to Royal Rumble, SummerSlam, WrestleMania, the Big Four. Easily called the Big Four when it comes to wrestling, and I got to say, I think out there and give credit, and we give kudos, but I got to give credit to my boy Sage and Mark on the other end there. As we record this podcast, dude works ridiculously hard in making sure everything is up and running with you, and making sure that the quality of this and some of this discussions we have get one thing. One thing I like about working with you, Sage, is that I was talking to somebody about this today, especially with all this stuff going on in America today. We can respectfully disagree. You and I can. We could talk about something, and a matter of fact, we were talking about, for those of y'all listening, getting a mixer for some live shows. Long story short, getting some new podcast updated equipment. I'll get what I want. I'll think, oh man, that's a great deal on XYZ product I want, and then Sage will say, yeah, but does it have this? Without hesitation. That shows trust. That shows trust in someone who could you trust your co-host. You could trust him to say, yeah, I don't like your idea, but what about this? Or hey, I love your idea, but what about this? Or I can come to Sage and say, hey, you know what? That's gonna work. Or hey, that's not gonna work. And it's because of our fans and because of our partnership that we got here that we get to do this podcast for you, and we get to talk to you guys about wrestling and just be marks. Let's face it, let's just be marks. But we come to you out there in peace and love and unity and respect. That's why we give the shout outs every weekend. So my shout out this week is to none other than Sage Mark, my boy, my partner in crime on this, even though you're wrong on most everything you say about this. And but you agreed with me that Enzo is trash. So I don't have anything much more else other than I appreciate having you. We're approaching the 1 year mark. We'll have a special show for the 1 year anniversary, and we got the IRWP awards coming up here in December. Other than that, I don't have much else to say, brother. You got anything else?
Just guys, don't forget to visit our website. IRWP.us has all the great information on there if you want to continue to support the show. We have our Patreon campaign going on, giving out some free stickers, IRWP stickers. So go ahead, and if you guys can contribute, go ahead and do that. If you can't, that's fine. Just share the show to help us get the word around. So we appreciate you guys. But thank you so much. Love one another. Cherish one another. We might have differences, like Ben Goosen says, but you know what? We got one thing in common. We all love wrestling, and we need to let that. We need to share that love to everybody else in the world. If more people loved wrestling, I think that we wouldn't be such a we wouldn't be such afraid of each other to where we want to fight one another and fight for survival. Just love wrestling, and most of all, just keep it real, gangsta.
Keep it real, bros.